Hey, Nick, welcome to our monthly webinar this month on reducing financial risk from cybercrime, cyber insurance, and cyber warranty. Welcome to our clients and prospect and people who'd like to do business with us. My name is Matt Kinsey. I'm the managing director at IT Fusion, and we've got our special guest, Nick Wolf, who's a director at Cork Inc. Nick, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much, Matt. Happy to be here. So I've been involved in the cybersecurity space for the last 12 years, working with managed service providers such as IT Fusion and their small business customers. And today I'm really excited to really go over the differences between cyber warranties, cyber insurance, what it means for customers, and ultimately give them the financial protection that they need.
Well, let's take a step back before we get into the solutions first. What is the problem as you see it out there right now, especially with cyber insurance?
Yeah, so cyber insurance is super, super important. Everybody, all small businesses should have cyber insurance. But what we're seeing is it can be really complex in order to get adequate coverage. Typically, a very lengthy security questionnaire needs to be filled out, and there's a lot of gray areas in those questions, and who fills them out? Does the end client fill them out? Does the managed service provider fill them out? It can be quite complicated. And on top of that, because of the complexity with those questions, we're typically seeing that about a third of cyber insurance claims actually get denied and not paid out through their cyber insurance carrier, which is just absolutely crazy. And oftentimes it's because those questions were filled out wrong, right? The client might have said they had MFA turned on when in reality they had MFA turned off. They might have said backups are running when in reality there was no backup solution ever installed. So that could get quite scary for sure.
Hey, you talked a little bit about the gray area. I know one of the things we do here at IT Fusion is it takes us a while to fill out that application form because we put a lot of notes in there. So it's like, do you use multi-factor authentication? And so I'll list we use multi-factor authentication on these systems, but these systems don't have it.
Hmm.
And that way we're being fully disclosing to the carriers what our environment is. And then if there is a claim, hopefully not, but if there is a claim, they can't say, well, you didn't tell us. No, we put the notes in here that said we have MFA on these systems, we don't have it on here. We have we have our event logs for a year, but I can't go back 18 months because we store it for a year. Because if it's happened more than a year ago, how often are we ever going to look at that? So those are the types of things I think. Are you seeing that as well with as a best practice?
Yep, absolutely, for sure. And there's some ways we're going to be able to help out here with the Cork platform to make that process for cyber insurance a heck of a lot easier as well. So, really excited to go over that in a little bit here.
All right. Now, I mean, I know a lot of us get warranties. I mean, you buy a new car, you got a warranty. You go and buy a new television at Costco and they want to sell you the extended service warranty plan. I mean, I know we're going to be talking about this, cyber warranty, cyber insurance, but just at a high level before we get into the details, what is a cyber warranty?
I think actually the next slide sums it up really greatly. So, within the auto industry, you have car insurance and you have a car warranty. And I think if you press next there, it's a little animated. There we go for us. One more time. So, like I mentioned earlier, in the auto industry, you have car insurance, which is protection if you have an accident in your vehicle or if your car is stolen. But car insurance is different than a car warranty. When I think of a car warranty, it's really designed to prevent and remediate an accident before it ever happens. And a lot of the ways a car warranty is validated is by the check engine light, right? You're driving in your vehicle, and if something is wrong with one of those parts or components, it could be the engine, it could be the brakes, it could be the tires. And typically, what happens is the check engine light comes on, you bring it into the shop. That part or component is usually covered or under warranty, so you don't have to pay for it. The car gets fixed, the car is running good, and overall that lowers the likelihood for you ever needing to utilize your car insurance policy because you don't have an accident because your car is running more smoothly. And this really connects very well with the cyber insurance and cybersecurity space. So if you press next twice, in the cyber insurance realm or cybersecurity realm, rather, there's two components. There's cyber insurance, which is protection if you have an incident in your cyber landscape or if your data is stolen. But cyber insurance is different than a cyber warranty. Very similar to a car warranty, Cork cyber warranty is really designed to prevent or remediate an incident before it happens. In a lot of ways, Cork is giving you a check engine light for your environment. Instead of looking at your brakes and your tires and your engine, though, we're looking at the components within your cybersecurity posture. So we're looking at things like your antivirus tool, your data backup tool, your multi-factor authentication tools. And if we see if any of those tools are broken or misaligned or not set up properly, we're able to kick in and make sure that they get fixed prior to an incident ever occurring. Now, obviously, if something does break, if a phishing event happens, if a wire transfer fraud event happens, the idea of our cyber warranty is that we could fill in the gaps of cyber insurance to still offer financial coverage and protection without the need of having to activate a full-blown cyber insurance policy. So it's very supplementary, complementary in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting the way you put that, using the car analogy, because your warranty does pay out. If you lose your transmission while it's under warranty, you might have a small deductible, but the dealer is going to replace the transmission and get you back up and running. So what types of things does this cyber warranty cover that you're seeing challenges with cyber insurance?
Yeah. So I think that's a good transition for my next slide here, actually. So we took a good hard look at the cyber insurance space. And again, like I mentioned earlier, cyber insurance is very important, but it's not necessarily perfect. So there's three things I really wanted to cover here on this slide. The first is around cyber insurance claims getting denied. And here's a good story from Travelers Insurance, where they sold cyber insurance to a small business customer. And the small business customer filled out a questionnaire saying, yep, we have antivirus. Yes, we have backup. Yes, we have MFA turned on. When in reality, MFA wasn't turned on for all the devices and users within the environment. They suffered an attack because of the MFA being turned off. As a result, the cyber insurance carrier, Travelers in this example, they did not pay out the policy. They went back to the client and says, hey, thanks for giving us money for the policy, but that policy was actually invalidated because you filled out that questionnaire wrong. So that
And,
is something we're seeing more and more of, which is absolutely crazy.
and that's going to be devastating to a small business owner.
Yeah, which is the importance of, hey, if you're filling out those security questionnaires, don't lie, take it seriously. Don't just say yes, yes, yes to check a box and get coverage. Actually make sure you or your managed service provider is investing the proper time to make sure that they're filled out properly.
Yeah. I think one thing on this denial, there's also the other aspect of underpayment,
Mm-hmm.
because what the numbers I've seen show that 51% of claims are denied or underpaid. So that means you've only got a 50% chance of a payout of anything, and a third of that time they're not paying out what your actual damages were or the actual limits on the policy because of some deficiency in what you're doing versus what your contract says you should be doing.
Agreed. Yep, we're seeing that as well. And the other bullet point here that I think will pop up here is the cost of cyber insurance. We're typically seeing the cost of cyber insurance going up roughly 50 to 100% year over year, which
Wow.
is just very, very daunting for small businesses. Instead of spending, $4,000 a year on cyber insurance, they're going to be spending $8,000 a year on cyber insurance, if not more. And even if they're lucky enough to afford this cyber insurance policy, to my last bullet point here, the approval process is really quite daunting. So if you want to press next one more
Yeah.
time here, yeah, the approval process is more daunting. So if you were to get a cyber insurance policy, rewind the clock, go back 10 years, it was relatively simple. You would answer two or three questions, right? Do you have antivirus running? Is there a firewall there? Check, check. Okay, you have a cyber insurance policy. Nowadays, you're talking about pages upon pages of work and questions that could take hours upon hours. So it's more complex to get a cyber insurance policy, and then to get paid out on that cyber insurance policy is more complex as well. They have to perform a forensic investigation to ensure that all those questions were answered correctly and that there's no way they could get out of it. And that can be very, very scary as well. Now, again, Cyber insurance does pay out in a lot of other scenarios, and it is still very, very important. And the reason why I just bring up all these scary statistics is that even though cyber insurance is important, it's not 100% perfect. And that's really where the cyber warranty aspect come into play to fill in some of the blind spots and the gaps that's typically left behind from cyber insurance.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing you say, as a general rule is don't count on just a warranty, don't count on just insurance. You really need both of them to be in your best position.
Yep, 100%. It's really not an and or. It's really, you got your peanut butter, you got your jelly, and you put them together, and that's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yeah, they're great
Yeah,
together.
absolutely. Absolutely. And they work together.
Yep,
One of the things I know when we started talking to Cork that interested us was how quickly you guys pay out.
yep.
Uh,
And a lot of the ways of the reasons why we're able to quickly pay out is because we're monitoring the client's environment proactively, which is something that insurance is typically not doing. So with insurance, typically what happens in order to get a cyber insurance policy, like we said a couple times now, you have to fill out a very lengthy security questionnaire. Who are you using for patch management, for antivirus, for backups, etc. And on my next slide, it's really going to show you what we're doing here at Cork. So we're saying goodbye to time-consuming insurance form questionnaires because what we're doing is Cork is monitoring all of the different cybersecurity tools within your environment. Typically, these tools are going to be sold to you by your managed service provider like IT Fusion. Sometimes you might buy them yourself, though. And some of the tools that we're looking for, or monitoring rather, is remote monitoring and patch management. Basically, what that means is your operating system up to date? Does it have the right Windows or Mac operating system on it?
and for our clients, that's the tools when we remote into your computer to repair something, that's the tool that we use to do that.
Yep. The other thing that we're going to be monitoring here is going to be your endpoint detection and response solution. Some people might know this as antivirus.
Hmm.
Bitdefender, Threat Locker, Windows Defender, those are some popular tools, all of which Cork will be monitoring proactively.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was that's a real problem is keeping those up to date. So you're checking to make sure that IT Fusion as an MSP is aware if someone's out of date. Is that what
Yep.
I'm hearing? Okay.
Correct. Yep. The other area that we're looking at is data backups.
Mhm.
Are your servers, are your users, are your endpoints all backed up? So we'll monitor different backup solutions. Like I know Datto backup is a popular one that a lot of small businesses utilize. So we'll monitor that to make sure that the backups are indeed performing properly. And then the last thing here that we'll look at is a multi-factor authentication, right? So when you're signing into your Office 365 or your Google Apps, you're going to get that pop up on your phone. You're going to say yes or insert that code, and now you're more secure because you're verifying that you are who you say you are. It's not the bad guys overseas trying to log into your account to steal some data.
Well, I mean, and that's really important because even with MFA, we saw an incident about a week ago. I got alerted from our monitoring system that there were hundreds of MFA failures from one of the clients, and it was texting, was sending push notifications out, and eventually the end user got tired of it and hit approve.
Mm-hmm.
And now we caught it, and we were able to kick the bad actor out. But we even had the solution in there. But if we hadn't had the solution, the fact that we got those MFAs means that they had had our password.
Yep. Absolutely crazy. So the
Yeah.
advantage here of this slide is it's all about time savings, right? Again, with cyber insurance, they would have to ask that question. Do you have backups running? Do you have MFA turned on? Do you have EDR installed? But because Cork is monitoring all these tools instantly, not only are we able to pay out instantly for our cyber warranty, but what we could do is we could share this monitored information directly with the cyber insurance carriers. So now small businesses that have a cyber warranty in place, they'll unlock the door to have discounted cyber insurance, and the cyber insurance that they get will be instant as well. You don't have to go through the lengthy security questionnaires because we're reaching out to our insurance friends saying, hey, you don't have to ask this guy if EDR is running because we see it running. We're monitoring it already. So that's one area that I always love to highlight.
Okay. And so that sounds to me like you're really only working with, you're not going to an end customer. You've got to work with a managed service provider or an
Correct.
IT or an
Because
IT
you
consultant group.
exactly, because it's really the managed service provider that has these keys to the kingdom. They have access to the RMM software, the data backup software, the EDR and antivirus software. So Cork is only available through managed service providers such as IT
Okay.
Fusion and other IT consultants.
Awesome. Awesome. So there's no 1-800, call
Nope,
Cork. Okay.
nope, unfortunately not. Yeah.
All right.
All righty. So we talked about cyber warranties. We talked about cyber insurance. I'm loving the purple there. That's an interesting
Yeah.
color pattern. Yeah. So at the end of the day, there's really two warranties we end up selling at Core. We offer a
Okay.
$100,000 warranty and we offer a $500,000 warranty. A lot of ways, people kind of consider our warranties as supplemental gap coverage to their existing cyber insurance policy.
Okay.
Think of us in some ways kind of like Aflac insurance. It's not designed to replace the primary insurance policy. It's designed to supplement and ultimately reduce the out-of-pocket expenses. So again, with both our $100,000 and our $500,000 warranty, they're both going to come with that proactive monitoring platform that's able to alert you if there's any misconfigurations within the environment that would void out the cyber insurance policy or void out the cyber warranty, such as if MFA gets turned off. They might have MFA turned on now when you're buying the warranty and buying the insurance, but 4 months from now, if there's a user that turns it off, typically with cyber insurance, you're flying blind. You don't know about that because you submitted your answers months ago and you forgot about it.
Mhm.
But luckily, with Cork's monitoring, we're able to keep an eye on everything. So if there's any users or devices that go out of compliance to the extent where it would void out the insurance or void out the cyber warranty, we're able to proactively work with your local managed service provider, such as IT Fusion, and get that fixed and addressed. That way, if you do have a cyber incident, Cork can pay out instantly. Your cyber insurance can pay out.
So I'm noticing here on some of the differences in the plans besides the monetary. And one thing I know that has been a challenge for some of the customers I've talked to or the potential customers I've talked to was that wire transfer fraud payment. The
Yeah,
cyber insurance companies do not want to cover that.
yeah, that is very, very true. So in a lot of ways with our cyber warranties, we're covering things that are typically not covered by a cyber
Okay.
insurance policy. So we're covering things like SMS and phishing attacks or email gift card scam attacks. I think those are very popular now where you might get a text message from someone saying, I'm the CEO and I'm stuck in a
Yeah.
meeting. Go send me a photo of an Amazon gift card. It does indeed happen. We'll reimburse attacks such as that. We'll also cover things like wire transfer fraud as well. So maybe you send $10,000 to a vendor because they emailed you saying, this is my new, email address, banking account information, send the money here. We're going to cover those types of wire transfer fraud attacks as well. And then most importantly, we will cover the client's cyber insurance deductible. So
Okay.
say you have a $2 million cyber insurance policy with a $10,000 deductible, also known as a retention, Cork would be paying off that deductible. That way there's
Okay.
no out-of-pocket expenses they really have to worry about.
Yeah. Okay. And we just see, we see things like this happen. I mean, we got a call um, a couple months ago from an existing client. They received an email from a partner saying, please change my direct deposit information. And when I looked at it, I was like, there were signs of fraud all over it. You know, um, it wasn't the language that the partner uses. It's not the way he would have put the request in because I know him. I've known him for years. That's not the words he would have used. The signature didn't match the corporate signature that was set up. Um, would that pay out in that case?
Yes, it would. Yep.
Okay.
So that's something to keep in mind as well. And it's really scary with the type of attacks that are happening now, as well as what's going to happen in the future, right? AI is a very powerful
Yeah.
thing, both in good ways. It's going to make a lot of our lives easier from a good perspective, but we're also starting to see some AI, attacks from the bad guys as well. So that's something that we always have to stay vigilant on, for sure.
Well, awesome, Nick. I really appreciate this. Here at IT Fusion, we have partnered with Cork to provide this coverage. Um, with our larger customers, we can actually include this in your managed service contract, or you can purchase it as a standalone or upgrade from $100 to $500,000. So we've got that available for our existing clients. We are offering that now as an add-on service. So if you'd like to find out more about it, give me a call, set up a schedule. Nick, any closing thoughts from you?
That's basically it. Again, the key takeaways here today is cyber insurance is important. You should have it, but it's not your golden bullet. It's not the savior to all your prayers. So really combining a cyber insurance policy with cyber warranties is going to give you full coverage. And by having the cyber warranty in place, you might be able to save a couple $1,000s a year on your cyber insurance policy as well.
Nick, before we go, you just said something that triggered something for me, and I don't want to not explore it. We often run into customers who say things like, "I'm not a target," or they say things like, "I don't have any data that's worth, someone going after." What's the reality out there?
Yeah, so we're seeing that the around 70+% of cybersecurity attacks are actually targeted towards small businesses. And when I say small businesses, I'm talking about organizations that have under 100 employees or less, right? So a lot of small businesses have this stigma of, oh, I'm too small for it to happen to me, when in reality, you guys are the prime pickings, right? Because you don't have a multi-million-dollar cyber security budget. You don't have a team of 25 technicians in your office battling off the bad guys. You're trying to stay protected from cybersecurity threats, the best you can. But you don't have that multi-million-dollar budget.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I'm seeing with that is um, the consequences of going after a small business owner for a cyber criminal, unfortunately, are less than the consequences going after a multi-billion dollar corporation.
Yep.
So if someone goes after Bank of America, the FBI will be involved. Okay. If somebody goes after Nick's, small two-person business, the chance of the FBI getting involved is pretty slim from what I've heard. And this is from talking to FBI agents. They just don't
Yep.
have the resources to go after I lost $50,000. I lost $250,000 because that's devastating to the small business owner, but the FBI doesn't have the resources. Are you hearing the similar stories out there?
We are for sure. And if there is one single tool that you as a small business can buy and utilize to prevent attacks, obviously we want to sell you a lot of things, right? We want to sell you data backups, we want to
Yeah.
sell you EDR, we want to sell you a lot of things. But if there's only one tool you enforce day in, day out, it's multi-factor authentication. That's
Yeah.
going to block 99% of the bad guy stuff. It's not perfect because no security software is. I can't sell you one thing to solve all your problems, right? But turning on multi-factor authentication, that's going to solve 99% of your problems.
And the number one area to turn that on is in your email app.
100%. So if you're logging into Office 365, if you're logging into Google Workplace, make sure you have your MFA turned on, whether it's, I know Evo Security has a good MFA tool, Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, there's Duo, a lot of options out there. Make sure you do have some MFA turned on.
Yeah, and for the small business owner, you can turn on Google Authenticator, you can turn on Microsoft Authenticator in your accounts at no additional cost to what you're already paying for having that service. So I think that's really important that you turn that on. And if you need help turning it on, give us a call. We'll be glad to turn it on. If you're a client of ours that we're managing your Office 365, it's already turned on, so you don't need to worry about it. But Nick, we do have one or two people still left in the room. We'll open up, see if there's any questions from our participants. If you have a question, please go ahead and put it in the chat, and we'll be glad to answer it for you. All right.
One
Well,
question I have for you, Matt. How many years have you guys been in business?
so IT Fusion is a little over 3 years old. However, I've been in this space for almost 18 years now. And I've been working with computers professionally since 1989. So I've been in this space and I've been a managed service provider since 2012. When the business morphed, we started off the IT consultancy, turned into managed service provider, and then merged with two other companies back in December of 2021. So, a little over 3 years right now as this entity, but bringing my experience from Fortune 200 companies. I previously worked for Office Depot's corporate headquarters, where we managed 40,000 users worldwide from an IT security perspective. So I've been around this space for a while.
Fantastic. And if there's a small business listening to this right now and they're not one of your customers, what's the best email or phone number they should reach you at?
Yeah, they can call me, they can email info at itfusiontech.com, itfusiontech.com, info at, or they can give me a call directly. Our office number is 954-900-1654, and I am an option two for sales.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, it looks like we covered everything today. And, Matt, thank you so much for having me on to talk about Cork and the cyber warranty you're offering to your clients.
All right, I appreciate it, Nick. You have an awesome day. I'm going to stop the recording.